Okay, so today for our MREA moment, we are going to look at um, the economic model. And Gerald, thank you for typing that in, that you put the goals into command based on what you did for Business Planning Clinic. That's awesome. If you feel like sharing your annual unit goal for buyers and sellers in the chat, I would love to see that. Let me let somebody in. There we go. Perfect. Okay. If you enter that in the chat, I would love to see that because that's very exciting. And we will have some sessions over the next few weeks where we're going into taking what we learned in Business Planning Clinic and actually putting in command. So Gerald, you are a step ahead of the game. So we talked about the models in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and they can be easily remembered by elbow. So you have economic lead generation model, the budget model, the organization model, and then the expansion model. Expansion is new and not in this publication. So they're in the middle of writing the second publication, updating some of the lead gen strategies and things, but the foundations are not changing. So what they've done is allowed us a glimpse into some of the different things that they're releasing, and that is the the expansion model that they're going to be introducing. I started with lead gen last week, and we talked about, why it is important that that is your primary focus, is generating leads. Does anybody have any ahas or anything they want to share from lead gen before we move into the economic model? Okie dokie. So the economic model, it sounds really scientific and it can seem a little daunting if you're not really a math person, but this is what you need to do every year to determine how many units you need to sell to generate enough income to meet your income goal. And then that pours into feeding into your big why, and go back to that. But so this is from page 129 in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. Think of your economic model as a formula that describes the way your business works. It is your equation for success. Essentially, the economic model describes the relationship between a series of activities and the specific outcome they produce. Actually, you can work the formula in reverse just as easily. You want to start with your outcome, and then it's going to dictate your actions that you must take to produce it. And whether you realize it or not, you have an economic model. Every business does. Every real estate agent does. The issue is not about having an economic model. The issue is whether or not you understand the one you have and whether it can get you the net income you want. A sound economic model should share three basic things. It should show you where your money comes from. That's your gross revenue. It should show you where your money goes. Those are your expenses. And it could show you how much you have left for you, which is your net income. The basic economics sounds simple, but in actuality, most people follow unsound economic models. They don't know where their money comes from. They're not sure which costs are critical and which ones are not. And they can't be sure how much money will be left at the end of the year. So we have here, the economic model helps us focus on the numbers we must hit. And I want to walk through the formula. This, again, is from the Business Planning Clinic, the new updated. And so we'll be having another one on the 30th. If you have not attended that, I think that it's crucial if you're looking to plan ahead for the next year, going through these steps. You're provided with a workbook and to apply. And Gerald has already said he put his goals into command based on the goals that he created at Business Planning Clinic. So this is the formula. This is the formula you need. I believe that I've shared this into our Facebook group before, but I will share it again because this is what you need to start on. It's actually from page 131 in the MREA, if you can see it here. So it's good to do this year over year. And I'm going to do an example. This, of course, is going to go from the formula of netting $1 million, because that's the premise of the book. What you want to do, though, is go, what do you want to net? How much money do you want to net, not gross? How much money do you want to net next year? And so we're going to reverse engineer and see. So let's use the example here of $1 million net income, and then we will show you how to use it for your actual goal. Okay. So you're going to assume that based on the principles of the MREA that we run on a 30-30-40 model. You want to assume that you get at least a 40% profit. Okay. So how you're going to do that is take your $1 million net, you're going to multiply it by 40, and you're going to get your 2.5 million gross commission income. Then you pull out your 30% for expenses and 30% for cost of sale. Again, these are benchmarks to stay within. You may be looking at that going, oh my gosh, there's so much money that's going out. But that's why you account for how much do you want to net, and you're not going to assume that your gross is your net. We know better than that. Our net is what is left after we've paid expenses, after we have cost of sale, after we have everything settled. Our net is coming out of that. Okay. Now for this example, their average commission amount is $7,150. Ours is $4,500, or your own. So that's where you look at your multi-year trend, your agent trend, and you can see over the last 12 months, over the last couple of years, what your average commission amount is, and you'll apply that to your formula when you do your formula. You're gonna divide your average commission amount to the gross commission, and that's going to give you your total units that you need to sell. Something happened with my formula. There we go. So for this example, it's 350 total units sold. A balanced business, what we know from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, a balanced business is 50% sellers, 50% buyers. So it's going to go through the formula based on that premise. So 50% sellers out of the 350 gives you 175. The conversion here they've applied is 70% from the listings to them being sold. So that gives you, multiply that out, gives you 250 listings needed. A 75% appointment conversion rate gives you 333 seller appointments. Those are just sellers. Coming back over here to buyers, at 50% out of the 350 is 175. Now the conversion for that is 70%. How many buyer agreements do you need to get 175? They say 250. 70% conversion rate from appointment to the buyer agreement. So that gives you 357 buyer appointments needed. Now, remember, this is a millionaire agent, and this is typically not going to be a solo person. This is going to be multiple people achieving this net income of $1 million. So don't let that overwhelm you if you're a solo agent. You're definitely going to make more money as a solo agent. Now, after they look at the appointments, they divide it by the month and the week. So each week for this team to achieve the net income over the next 12 months of $1 million, they need to go 7 listing appointments and 7 buyer appointments to achieve their goal of 350 units, 175 being buyers and 175 being sellers. Does everybody understand kind of the basic premise of the formula? Don't focus so much on the numbers themselves as focusing on the formula, because that's what you're going to use for yourself. Again, if you've been in the business a while, you're going to pull your trends, your agent trends, and look at your conversion. That's why you track everything you do. You look at your conversion from appointments to signed agreement. You look at your conversion from agreement to listing sold. You look at your conversion on how many buyers, how many sellers did you have, because you're always looking to evolve and get to that higher level, more strategic, more purposeful level of business to net more money each year. And so this is kind of what they show here as a table of the investment that you're going to have. So of course, number one, you're going to have an investment of time. You're going to have your cost of sale, and you're going to have your operating expenses. Now, to get into what is cost of sale is automatically for any agent that's a single agent here in Keller Williams at KW Montgomery is going to be $23,000. If you're on a team, you may have a different split, not a different split, but a different cost of sale, which is your brokerage amount you're going to pay. The beautiful thing about KW Montgomery is you can go ahead and put that number in there. It's not a question mark because we cap. you're never going to give more than that off of your transactions. So you can go ahead and pop that in as your cost of sale. Your operating expenses are going to vary, and there's benchmarks. There is a millionaire real estate agent account profile that you can go into and look at what can be some of your expenses. Just know there's going to be cost of sale and there's going to be expenses regardless. So go ahead and account for that. And then to your performance, your behavior, your skill level, your ability, the resources, your leads, appointments, your talent, your systems, and your tools. What all are you applying to your investment of time and money? And then to get your outcome of your gross commission and your net commission. That's basically what the economic model is about. It's putting all those things together to give you a formula of where you need to start. We talked about the 30-30-40. You can always, when you're looking at the model economically from KW, it's going to assume that you're at a 40% profit. You're going to have a benchmark of 30% cost of sale and benchmark of 30% operating expenses. This is why you play that red light, green light. This is why you dig into your budget, to know where your money is and to know how you can keep it accountable to what you need to achieve. All right, so we went through this. This is the basic flow though, without the formula. So 2.5 million in gross commission. We're going to have 1.25 GCI from buyers, 1.25 GCI from listings. Your cost of sale for listings will be $125,000. Your cost of sale for buyers is going to be more, and that's going to lead up to the 30% cost of sale and 30% operating expenses, assuming, and then with your net income. Of course, if you can keep your expenses really low, you watch where your cost of sale is, you're very smart with your money, you can net more from this gross commission income. This is the leads generated into your gross commission, which it goes back to how many appointments you need to go on. When you look at that appointment number, you're going to know how do you need to generate those leads to get those appointments. And that's where you drill in and you look at how you're using the lead generation and where do you need to put the foot on the gas for that. So this just goes back through it again. I'm going to give you another example. Just bear with me. I've got to skip through this. Okay, so here's another example. You have a net income of $500,000. You get your GCI of 1.25, pulling out the operating expenses, which we're going to assume. Now this average commission is a different. It's $68.75. Here in the Montgomery area, we're at a $4,500 average commission. Now, if you yourself are at a higher or a lower, that's where you'll apply that number. You will not know this until you've been into the business about a year and you have a consistent business to do. I would just use hours if you don't know your own. So 4,500. And then that gives, you divide the average commission amount by the gross commission, and that gives you how many units. Again, they're going to split. What they did here is they put their actual numbers. This person is heavier on the buyers, not so much on the sellers. And so they did their conversion ratio different because they know that they're at a 65% from the buyer agreement to the buyer under contract. Is this making sense to you? This is where you'll look at your own agent multi-year trend and see where you're at, know where your numbers are and how your conversion rates go. That's why we're tracking what we do every day. And that's why they teach in bold. How many calls are you making? How many appointments are you setting? Because all that's going to be important when you're looking at your next year. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. So this person needs to go on 3 listing appointments a week and 5 buyer appointments a week. So that's 8 total appointments a week with 31 a month. Do you see how, because they're buyer heavy, they need to do more buyers? Okay. And this model, of course, comes from the $500,000 economic model. Any questions? Okay. So this, again, I want to repeat, comes from page 131 in the MREA. it's very important that you know where you're at, where you have been in the past, and then that gives you a place to start on what you're going to do next year. If you have not attended the business planning clinic, we're hosting another one on December 30th. They again have updated the materials. These slides are from that, and it has helped a lot of agents build that plan for what you're going to do next year. You need to go ahead and have that ironed out before January 1, because you're going to be behind if you wait that late. That's why we've been hosting the business planning clinic starting in actually September. I wanted to do it monthly to give those that wanted to get a head start. We know we're on like a 90-day cycle, so anything that you're doing now is going to apply to February, March, right? So let's go ahead and drill in, take some time, look at this. If you don't know your conversion rate, come back to the basic of the 70% here. Sorry, it's making me click everything. Here we go. These are just the basic conversion rates. If you don't know your own, you can apply these. And then you're going to reverse engineer how many leads do you need to get the amount of weekly appointments you need to have. And that gives you something to focus on when you sit down for your lead generation time. When you have that time blocked out, how many appointments am I trying to get every day to ensure that I get this many units sold this year? All right, well, I hope that this was helpful for you guys. I trust that it was. Again, this is basically just material from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. It's from the economic model. It starts on page 129. It's going to show you where your money comes from. It's going to show you where your expenses should be aligned at. And then it's going to show you how to get your net income. Next Monday, we're going to go into the budget model, which is going to show you how you can keep your expenses in the margins and play red light, green light, so that you know that you're getting a return on every dollar that you spend and that you're maximizing the profit that you earn. So I hope that you guys will be with us next Monday. Thank you for showing up this morning. Thank you for participating, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.